Wow, wow, wow. Can't believe it's the first week of the month already. Obviously, I don't know what time it is right now, but we're somewhere in July. So, welcome back to my monthly love list for June. So, I decided to be a little different this month and a little lazy because I want to put in a pretty big idea for what I want to do for my monthly love list. I got a lot of big things planned, a lot of cats in it, and it'll most likely be coming next month with the monthly love list that comes then. For now, you're gonna enjoy some good Marvel Rivals gameplay, a lot of Jean Grey gameplay, because that's what is cool and hip nowadays with all the cool kids, and we're gonna do this like it's a traditional gameplay commentary type of thing. Not nothing too crazy here, kiddos. Nothing out of the ordinary. So we might as well get into some of the stuff that we got planned for the month. So kicking it off with movies, every single month so far has been stacked. Every single month. I don't know how many more times I could say that this month is a stacked month with movies, because we had another pretty stacked month. I didn't watch any of the smaller things. I tried to really only focus on the big stuff this month. So I want to start off with, we got some zombies, we got some vroom vrooms, and we got a ballerina as well with John Wick, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, which is a very long title that didn't need to be that long. I think they could have just stuck with the ballerina part of it. But yeah, so Ballerina is the first title to go from the John Wick spin-off universe to actually hit the big screen. Not like the Continental is still a series, that one didn't go to the big boys. But Ballerina focuses the story of Eve, who was raised in a loving and caring house before her dad got domed and she decided to become the next John Wick, but with the ability to dance as well, because I think she's supposed to be a ballerina, right? This was directed by Len Wiseman, which is absolutely crazy. Whoever actually brings me the proof of him doing anything on this movie, I'll give you, I don't know, a high five or something, because this is absolute insanity that the guy who's directing this is Len Wiseman. Yeah, so not Len Wiseman did an amazing job at staying true to the John Wick aesthetic with this movie, honestly. You got the mandatory club and rave scene with the bisexual lights flashing all over the place to give that neon aesthetic, with one of the craziest rave songs that you've ever heard being synced up to people just getting their asses pummeled and getting domed. I think the way that this movie did its choreography for the combat was actually still as creative as the actual John Wick movies, where you're getting something new every single time, and it's actually using the way that Eve is weak compared to other people to actually elevate the fighting. Like, my standout was her just going on a full-on grenade assault sequence where she didn't have any weapons and was just tossing nades at everything around her. It felt something straight out of a video game. And I've honestly been loving how this series has been getting so much of its inspiration from different pieces of media like video games and things like that to up the creativity level, to always keep innovating within the action genre so that it doesn't get stale, and it's always trying to introduce something really fun. Like with John Wick 4, when they had that top-down camera angle as I think I forgot the guy's name. It was like Nobody or Nothing or some shit like that, but as he was like going through all the buildings from that top-down view, looking like it was what's that game called, Hotline Miami. Yeah, I've been loving how these movies have been doing that type of stuff, and especially with this one, you get her like always trying to grapple for different weapons, trying to throw different weapons at enemies, and basically trying to use whatever she can around her to her advantage. And it really gives some new depth to the action movie genre. I would also say, this movie tried to somehow fit Norman Reedus into it, which I'm not gonna lie, I love Norman Reedus, but I didn't think his character was that necessary in this movie. He was just sort of there to give this movie a new MacGuffin, which the movie already had one with her hunting down the gang, and then Norman Reedus came in and he was like, okay, let me give you an extra reason to hunt this gang down that's not even going to matter by the end of the movie. And You know, he was cool. He had a shotgun, and he was doing Norman Reedus things. But yeah, sadly, I don't know why they didn't utilize him to his best ability. You know, they could have had him with a crossbow or something. They could have thrown zombies in there or done Death Stranding. But yeah, overall, combat in the movie was great. Eve did some phenomenal things, and them including John Wick. If you haven't seen the trailer, spoiler alert, but John Wick is in the movie, and he ends up fighting Eve, and I think that that fight scene was very well done as well, with the fact that they had John Wick still showing how OP he is. He's still this overpowered dude, and there's nothing that's gonna stop that. And she was still able to keep up with him, but you know, John Wick is John Wick, and I'm glad they didn't nerf him just for this fight scene. It still felt like it was paying respect to the movies while still introducing this new character and showing how capable this new character is. Yeah, it's hard to really say much about this movie without just saying that the action is cool, really. I mean, the music's cool, the action's cool. You get flamethrowers, you get guns, you get Colts, you get dancing and shit. You know, you get everything that you want from an action movie. You know, Not Len Wiseman did an amazing job with this. And if you're a John Wick fan, then obviously you're going to be a fan of FTW OJW Ballerina. I hope that we start using that acronym, because I think that it's gonna be a good one that sticks around for a while. So yeah, that's the first one out of the way. Speaking of movies that got a spin-off or a remake that did an animated movie into a live-action remake and somehow didn't butcher the original but actually elevated the original in a new form, we have How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake. And before anybody says anything, you know, I am the first person to always be against live action remakes. I hate all of them. I hate making a animated movie into a live action remake. I think it's stupid. I don't understand why anybody would go watch those movies. But then I ended up watching this one, and I think that the parts of it that really came to life and really showed that this was an actual work of passion was the fact that the author of the books and the writer of the previous How to Train Your Dragon movies was the writer of this one as well and overseeing this project, and the director of the previous How to Train Your Dragon movies was also directing this movie, and they had some voice actors that came back to actually do the live action acting. So it still was a work of passion. Like, they got their original team, a good amount of their original team, back together to actually make this. And how'd it go? It was good. It was, I loved it. You know, I was in the theater. I was just thinking about how when I was like a 11, 12-year-old boy, I don't remember how long ago that movie came out, but back in the day when I was a wee little child and I watched the How to Train Your Dragon animated movie on the big screen, and I ended up going to Barnes and Nobles and going into the kids section and buying like 3 different How to Train Your Dragon books because I just wanted to see all the drawings and all the different dragons that weren't shown in the movie. This movie brought me back to that. That was like the first time that a live action remake played with my nostalgia. You know, curse you DreamWorks, you used the nostalgia bait and it reeled me in like a sucker. Is this movie basically the same movie as the animated movie? Yes, it's the exact same movie. Does that matter? Depends on who you're asking. I personally think that if you're making a live action remake, it's either you do exactly what the groundwork was before you and just try to bring it to the live action environment while feeling everything and elevating everything into that live action genre, or if you're trying to make your own story, you should probably get the original author to be able to help you out so that they can introduce their own elements and elevate their own story because they're the ones that know it. But you know, there's no winning with people at the end of the day. People are going to want one thing or the other. They're going to hate it if a movie gets remade and it's the exact same. They're going to hate it if a movie gets remade and it gets changed. But going past that, this movie pays so much to the original. It is so beautiful. It legitimately feels like it's it was supposed to be live action. The dragons look exactly the same as they did animated. They look like real dragons with those actual proportions that they use in an animation, which is insanity. The world looks like it was the exact same world lifted from the animated movies. I don't know where they filmed, but wherever in the world they filmed, I want to go there because that shit is insane. They made it look beat for beat exactly how the animated one looked like, and still kept that magic alive. It didn't feel like Lion King, where it felt just like they were trying to make it as realistic as possible and it lost all the soul. For this movie, it actually still had the soul in it. Everything felt so beautiful. Toothless was a big old baby, and the story still hit all the emotional beats. The part that really got me, that was like, oh my god, this is how I know I'm loving this movie, was that time where Hiccup and Astrid are riding on Toothless, and she's finding out about it, and this is her first time ever riding on Toothless, and he starts going through the skies and sees the northern lights and all that. Oh my god, I almost started crying in the theater. It was so beautiful. Yeah, it's actually insane how well of a job they did with this. Everybody from the color grading team to the actors to whoever got the locations for this, huge props to those people, because holy shit. This movie really does keep all the spark and magic from the original movie, and there's just not much to say besides the fact that if you watch the original How to Train Your Dragon, you're still probably gonna love this. You're gonna be like me. You're a 20-something-year-old man or woman or whatever. You're in your 20s and you're trying to reminisce on that nostalgia from back then. This is it. This is the nostalgia. This is what's gonna take you back to back then. 10 out of 10. I'm not gonna say 10 out of 10, but good movie, best movie ever. Yeah, it generally had me in a time machine. Speaking about time machines though, so 28 years, 25 years ago, 28 days later released, and 28 years, 25 years later, we get 28 years later. So I think if there's a movie that's gonna be contending against Sinners in the Oscars or whatever, I think it's gonna be this one. We got like a real moody ass zombie movie, and it wasn't really mostly about the zombies in this movie. It was mostly about the world and the allegory that this place gets for Brexit. You basically got England, who's been cut off from the rest of the world, completely quarantined because of this virus that has been spreading across England. You cannot let these weirdos with this virus get out of England. So now mainland England is basically completely separated under quarantine, and we get a story focusing on the people on an island right outside of mainland England, and follow this character named Spike, who's a 12-year-old kid who's basically just now gotten old enough to go and hunt zombies. Real patriotic England. We get the kids in there while they're young. So Godspeed to England. Whenever the zombie apocalypse happens because of Brexit, we'll be watching you guys. So with this island that's separated, it's a pretty fucking weird island. They got a lot of weird cult-like things going on. They got some dances going on. They got a whole job system making these people do labor and stuff. What the fuck, man? What's this world come to when all the jobs are either you're a farmer, you're a hunter, or you're a birth giver? What the fuck, man? So Spike's mom is sick, and Spike basically makes it a mission to try to get his mom to a doctor, and that's where you get the whole moody aspect, because the only doctor is in mainland England where the virus has spread. Woo! Let's go! So yeah, I love the environment that they built up with this movie. I think the way that they did, like, England sort of run down with various types of zombies. You don't get like their traditional Walking Dead. They just run at you and you just shoot them in the head. You got some fat, slimy fucks on the ground who walk around, or not even walk around, they slither around and eat worms and shit. You got the Mandingo zombie, who's like a 7-foot tall zombie, and you see his fucking schlong the whole time. It was pretty crazy because that shit was big, man. It was like mesmerizing how big that shit was. That man is not a grower, he is a shower. and you get the alpha zombies who fucking look over and they're smart and they know how to handle humans and shit like that, and they call on their herd of zombies to go after you. It was pretty cool. It reminded me of Last of Us, with Last of Us having all their different types of zombies from different types of mutations. But the aspect that I really like about this movie is how it plays with morality and empathy, because these zombies aren't really zombies. All of them are still humans that are alive. They're just taken over by a virus. You can still recognize these people. You can still see who these people are, and you can see how some of these zombies are defenseless at times and they know when to give up. You know, it's not their fault that they want to eat your brains. You know, it's the virus's fault. How the fuck are you gonna blame it on the zombies? So you'll see cold moments of where, you know, you have the hesitation to shoot because you're like, damn, that's a baby zombie. I'm not gonna shoot a fucking baby zombie. That baby zombie did nothing. He's just being a baby zombie. He was just put into this world to be a baby zombie. I love the way that the movie mixes around with those aspects of it, because it actually gives some new life to these types of movies. And something that 28 Days Later did a long time ago was giving that breath of fresh air to this genre, giving something new. And 28 years later, after zombies have been overdone and overplayed, it's still adding something new to this genre. The vibes of this movie are pretty cool as well. The different types of kills that you get, that it sort of does this video gamey type of thing where, like, when you see the arrow go through a zombie, you get like a perspective change. Like, this arrow goes through the zombie and it's like a freeze frame, but then the camera pans to show a different angle and then the zombie dies. Yo, that shit was so fucking cool. That was like Sniper Elite type shit. If you ever seen Sniper Elite, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I also love the really moody shots that they have where they're going through the land, and as they're going through the land, like the main character Spike and his father, when they first go onto the mainland, they're walking through, you see the beautiful scenery. The grass is all going crazy and the sun is out. It's looking beautiful. And as they're walking through and it starts getting darker and eerier, you start getting like these infrared shots of like the zombies in hiding, and you can see like their eyes in the different environments. And I love that aspect because, like, to the main characters, it seems like there's nothing really going on. They're not seeing anything. But once you get those infrared shots, you see exactly how much shit is hiding around and how likely it is that they're gonna get attacked at any time. And it gives like that horror type of sense to it, because you're following them, and it's giving a false sense of security. Like, at first you see them and you're like, okay, there's nothing around here, they ain't gonna get, they're fine, you know, they're all prepared. And you see that infrared shot and you're like, oh shit, like there's a lot over here. I also loved their incorporation of showing like I'm gonna be honest, I'm not too smart to look this shit up, but they were showing like shit from a few hundred years ago, from like the British Royal Guard and shit like that, when they were doing their marches with arrows and preparing for wars and sieges. They were doing that in comparison to them marching into the mainland to basically hunt zombies. Like, that comparison was fucking strong, man. Like, that was really starting to give me anxiety and build up that tension for me. And going towards the end of the movie, no spoilers, but like towards the end of the movie, you get to see the Bone Temple, which you've seen in the trailers. If you haven't watched the trailers, fucking spoiler alert, man. I don't know, but you see a Bone Temple, and everything that happens with the Bone Temple and the explanation to it and all that, I think that ties the biggest bow on this movie, because you get another scene, which I think is gonna be another scene that goes down in best scenes of movie history, with the end of that Bone Temple and the significance of what is happening there. It is so beautiful. This movie manages to juggle around a lot of different things with horror and beauty, sympathy and life. It's just so much. I loved this movie. I'm watching you, Alex Garland. I know what you're doing with Elden Ring, man. I'm paying very close attention to whatever you're writing or directing. Everything about you, I'm watching you real close, man. And the final movie that I'm going to be throwing in here today is the Formula One movie. And let me tell you, this movie, you know, Joseph Kosinski coming in and directing an F1 movie, that's like dream partnership, man. What he did with Top Gun Maverick was insanity. He made a must-watch IMAX feature with that movie, and you know, strapping cameras to fast things, as they said in the Daily Planet. That's what this guy's all about. And he strapped a camera to another fast thing, a Formula One car. So this movie centered around Sonny Hayes, who's a washed up racer. You know, he did his round in F1, and now he's just a fucking bum living outside of a van, who just does different racing things, and he's just extraordinarily good at them. And he got hired by his friend to go drive for F1 for an 11th team in F1. And wow, dude, when I watched this originally, I thought this movie was unrealistic. I was like, bro, like Formula One races are this messy. They're like, come on, man. People crashing this much in races, like, bro, I watch F1 every fucking race. I don't see that. No, bro. I watched the Austrian Grand Prix after this movie. This movie paints Formula One in a better picture than what you would think. The crashes that happened here, bro, the Austrian Grand Prix was like a fucking, that was a mess, bro. That's a whole nother story, video, whatever. But if I was Haas, I would have sued the shit out of this movie for how much it tried to replicate its 2020 year or 2019 year, whatever year Romain Grosjean was just splitting that car in half every single race. The writing in this movie, it's all right, you know, it's nothing crazy. The story was just a means to an end to see racing, in my opinion. You know, you get the traditional, hey, this guy's the old guy who's coming in to help out the rookie, and the old guy just happens to know everything to the point where he's mansplaining to the technical director because she's a girl and she's been doing this job her whole fucking life. But this guy who's been out of Formula One for the past 20 years somehow comes in and knows how to do her job for her. I want a car that battles in the corners and can battle there. How am I gonna make that safe? Who said anything about safe? Oh, the FIA did! But yeah, the writing was subpar. I wish there was more depth to the characters. The characters were just underexplored. Sonny Hayes was basically Lisan Al-Gaib, knowing everything to do in races. And what was the guy's name? Joshua Pierce, the rookie teammate. Bro, we get like nothing from him. All we know is that he loves his mom and he's there to race. Let me tell you what. He gets into beef with Sonny Hayes and then they make up. Is there anything that explores that? Not at all. So the writing was whatever, characters were whatever, but you know, the hook of this movie is the racing. If you're not a racing fan, you might as well skip this movie because you're not gonna care about the racing. But the actual racing, bro, I'm on the edge of my seat every single time. Every single time that they show those cars onto the camera, boom, locked in, seated up, I'm ready to go. I'm oh my god. They did this so well. They managed to get the excitement and tension of Formula One and put it into a movie, and each race is spectacular to watch. The crashes are crazy. The battle between Sonny Hayes and his teammate Joshua Pierce is just done so well, and you get to see it all with the craft. I loved it. I don't want to know how expensive this movie was to make because I don't think we are ever getting a movie like this again, because I don't know how the fuck they're gonna pay for all this shit again. They were using Formula 2 cars and racing with the Formula 1 drivers. Like, it was a spectacle. It was truly one of those spectacles that every racing fan should go watch it, see how it is, and it's amazing, truly. Before I finish with this, I gotta rant about my theater experience as well. I almost forgot about this, but I put a note saying rant about theater experience. I had a guy sitting next to me who was face fucking his drink, and when I say face fucking it, I mean that drink was empty the moment that the movie started. There was nothing in that cup when the movie started. I swear to God, there was nothing in that cup. And every few minutes you see him, or not even see him, you hear him go to that cup and go and just try to suck up whatever ice is still in there, bro. It got to the point there was no more ice in that cup. He was just fucking breathing in air through the cup, and it was always at any moment that was like somewhat quiet or serious, it would go. And then at a certain point in the movie, he got up. He was talking to his buddy over here. He got up. I was like, holy shit, he's gonna refill the cup. He's gonna go refill the cup, bro. He comes back with a snack, and the fucking empty cup is still in his hand. And then he opens the snack, and you hear, and then you hear the cup too, bro. I was about to go there and fucking drop kick him. Anyways, good movie. Liked it a lot. Alright, so this section was originally scheduled out to be an intermission, but I mean, technically I'll still make it an intermission. But I want to talk about 2 sporting events that I went to this month. Well, one that I went to, one that I kept up with, but you know, it was a pretty crazy month, man. Whoa, Nuno Mendes just got a red card. Holy sh... Alright, anyways, so 2 sporting events, and one of them was that I went to the WWE event that was happening over here. They had a Monday Night Raw in town, and yes, I'm sure a lot of you do not care about WWE. If you do not care about WWE, you might as well just skip this part, because it's just gonna be talking about WWE. But I had the most amazing time there. Oh my god, me and my girlfriend have been getting into WWE a lot in the past few months. Once Monday Night Raw got thrown onto Netflix, we've been watching it every single week. It's been a blast to get back into it, because honestly, I haven't really watched WWE since I was like 15, 16 years old. I used to be religiously into it from like ages of like 5 to 11 years old, when Batista was in there and John Cena was going crazy on CM Punk and all that stuff. And this year is John Cena's retirement tour. Raw started going on Netflix, so I was like, you know what? I threw it on the TV on a whim, and out of that, we got our love reignited for it. So Monday Night Raw just came into town, and I had the best time. We had the King of the Ring qualification matches, or not the qualifications, the semifinals for King of the Ring happening here. So we had Cody Rhodes going against Jey Uso. Great match. Love Cody Rhodes. We had Jade Cargill going against Asuka. Great match. I love the both of them. We had a Braun Breaker just kill Penta. That was pretty cool. And it was, I love the crowd for WWE. If there is one thing that I love about WWE, it's that it's like a weekly soap opera for the bros, you know? And that crowd makes WWE amazing. You get a crowd that is just always yelling, cheering, bantering. It's funny as hell. I had some dude behind me who was like bantering with a 7-year-old kid, who, by the way, they didn't even know each other. This wasn't like the 7-year-old was his son or anything. Like, they were both just like screaming at the wrestlers, and they were just going back and forth with each other. It was amazing. One of them talking about Paul Heyman's hairline was receding. If you don't know who Paul Heyman is, I'm gonna throw a picture up on here to show you who Paul Heyman is. Does his hairline look like it's receding? Because it doesn't look that bad. Like come on. Like he's got it good, man. He's got it good. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was loads of fun. I love WWE now, and I really hope to be able to go to one of their PLEs or something like that to actually be able to experience it. Because last time I went was like WrestleMania, when John Cena went against The Rock, and it was the once in a lifetime thing. And then they did it the year after again, and I was like, okay, you know, I guess it wasn't a once in a lifetime thing, whatever. But yeah, it was really cool. Seth Rollins was there as well. Cool guy. Last night we watched him get injured. Hope for a speedy recovery, Seth. And yeah, honestly, I don't think I'll keep you guys updated with Monday Night Raw. But if I go to another WWE event, you better expect it here. Switching it up to cool stuff though, with gaming. I want to do my honorable mention here before I get into my big games. Rematch came out this month, or last month. The month of June, Rematch came out. And I love Rematch. If you watch my first monthly list video, you'll see that I love Rematch. I love Blue Lock. I'm a Rematch player. But I'm not going to go too in depth with it because I already did in one of the previous videos. and I still think it's got a few quirks to work out. Like, dude, the servers are, I don't know what the fuck is going on there. I don't know what's going on with the servers, but it's still a fun game, and I think that as it continues, it's gonna get fleshed out a lot more, and it's gonna be a game that's gonna last a while. I do not see it going anywhere. I just didn't want to go too in depth with it because it's just, I've talked about it. I've played this game a lot already before it came out. I think I already put in like 40 hours before the release. So I've played the game. I've played it. So yeah. Getting into the actual games though, I want to start off with Kirby. Oh, Kirby. If you know anything about me, you'll know that I have a Kirby plushie. You know, I'm a cool Kirby fan. Did you also know I got a Kirby keychain? Kirby comes along with me everywhere that I go. Alright. Did you also know that I got a bunch of Kirby toys sitting under my monitor? So Kirby's everywhere that I go. He's on my PC. He's in my car. He's my ride or die, man. He comes with me wherever. Now, did you know I have not played a Kirby game in the last 10 years? I know. Fake fan. Originally, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, when I saw this, I was so excited for it, and I just never got around to buying it. I fell off of my Switch for a while. I didn't really want to play on my Switch that much, so when Kirby came out, I was like, it's cool, but I'm not really playing the Switch, and I was naive to think that the game would ever go on sale because Nintendo does not do that anymore. That would be cool if games went on sale at a certain point, but they do not. So last month I got my bonus and I pulled the trigger. Bang bang, I got Kirby, and let me tell you, $60 well fucking spent. So convenient timing to go back to the Switch, right? You would think that I have the Switch 2? No, I do not have a Switch 2. I more got pressured into going back to my Switch 1 because I was like, if I get a Switch 2 and I don't play my Switch 1, what's the point? I want to Switch 2 for Mario Kart, but you know, Mario Kart isn't worth $500 to me, so I just went back to my Switch 1. I picked up Kirby and we went crazy. Yeah, playing through this game just sucked me in completely. Every pun intended, whatever. The level designs were just, it was a simple game, but it had good depth to it. I think that that's something that is crazy that Kirby works with, because you get the feeling that you're overpowered, and you know, you want that feeling as Kirby. You're a monster, bro. You're eating everything up. But it's the fact that it mixes that overpowered feeling with complexity to never make it feel boring. I feel like that's a very hard line to cross, because if you make it too overpowered, you get to the point where you're just playing the game and it just feels boring. If you make it too easy, which is still a children's game, you get to the point where it's just boring because you're just marching through everything like a Pokemon game, you know, one of the newer Pokemon games. But they were able to walk a fine line of being able to work on both of them and making it extremely fun. There's a lot of nuance to the combat still. Like, it's not the most complicated combat style. It's not as if you're going in there and you gotta do 20 hit combos or anything. It's still simple, but there's a lot of variety to the different things. There's a lot of puzzles, and my favorite part of this game, to be honest, was all the hidden challenges that each level has. Let me tell you, I was going through that game and I was doing every single hidden challenge. I don't know if I'm crazy or if that's what most people do, but that's something that pulled me in with Astrobot as well. It's the cuteness of the world. It's everything that the world brings together, while also adding different little things to do, different little secrets to find. So you get like that itch of a challenge while still keeping it very fun and very loose. I don't want to play Kirby and feel like I'm stressing out. I want to play Kirby and feel like I'm having fun the whole time. And I don't know how that game does it. There's a lot of games that I could fall off at a certain point because I'm playing it more for just the story or more for one thing or the other. But Kirby and Astrobot have those two things as similar, where it's fun, it's simple, and you do not have to overwork yourself to play these games. You could just get on and go. It is a beautiful, beautiful game. The environments are amazing, gorgeous. You get your desert biome, you get your volcano, you get your winter Iceland, you get a theme park. Like it's so cool, man. And all the different power-ups for Kirby as well. I love them. I love the evolutions to the power-ups as well. Like for the sword power-up, you're able to power up the sword and get a great sword, and you feel like a Monster Hunter character just going in and swinging it and going doo, doo, just toss it to the walls and shit. And then you get the tournament and you go and fight Meta Knight to get a Meta Knight sword upgrade. Bro, like when I saw Meta Knight, oh my god, I lost my shit. I was going crazy. I'm a Meta Knight fanatic, bro. Me and Super Smash Bros. Brawl Meta Knight, oh my god. I'm sorry if that just triggered some PTSD flashbacks to some people, but I was gaming Meta Knight, bro. I was 10, 11 years old when Meta Knight was a thing. I wasn't over here thinking meta. But yo, that's another pun. But the upgrades and power-ups were amazing. The evolutions to the power-ups were amazing. It had so much to it. Like I feel like if I keep talking about this game, I'm gonna say the word variety as many times as I possibly can. But the game has so much variety. It has so many different enemies. As you're going through the worlds and the levels, you get a lot of different enemies introduced to you. It never feels like you're fighting the same things over and over. There's always some new element added to each thing. Each boss has its own different type of gimmick that you have to get around, and each power-up is its own thing that brings a new layer to the gameplay. You get your drill power-up, you get your hammer power-up that if you're like me, you go around town and you hit the Waddle Dees with that hammer, you get them good bonking. You got your tornado power-up that makes you feel like Storm. It is so cute and fun, man. I can't. Like when I was originally writing this, I was saying that this feels very reminiscent of the 3D Mario games, but I feel like it's more that Astrobot feels more reminiscent of this. Both of those games feel like they feed off of each other and feed off of each other's energy, because Mario has that little collecticon thing that's going on. You know, you collect the moons and you collect the stars and stuff, whereas this, it's just the level to level basis to bring Kirby into the beautiful 3D environment and have him do some crazy stuff. And the biggest gimmick to this game that I think everybody got hyped over when they saw the trailer is the gimmick of you turning into real life items. Kirby's getting transported into this human world that's basically gone through an apocalypse and everything's abandoned and all that. And like I said it before, the world is beautiful. Who knew that the world without humans would be so beautiful? But Kirby's in there, and you basically get to transform into a car. You know, he sucks up a car and you drive as a car and you're Formula 1 drifting that bad boy around. You could turn into a traffic cone, because who doesn't want to be a traffic cone nowadays? You turn into a vending machine and you shoot out soda can, pop, 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 just shoot them out all over the place. You get to turn into a windmill fan thing. I don't remember what that was. Yeah, that new gimmick was cool. I feel like it was just a gimmick though, and it never overstayed its welcome. It wasn't like, oh I gotta do this again, oh my god. Like every single time it feels good, but to me it didn't feel as good as the normal things in the game, like the power-ups. Every time I got a power-up, I was geeking. Every time I got a power-up evolution, I was geeking, man. Like I love the way that you're able to transform into these modern day objects, but the power-ups are where I think Kirby's strength is at, and that is how I'm gonna keep it until the end of time, unless they do something new to these real world items. The time trials as well in this game are super fun. I like that, giving that difficult challenge, because if you actually want a difficult challenge, this is exactly like Astrobot as well. Do the time trials, bro. I am telling you, when you are trying to hit those target times, they are not easy at all. Some of those levels actually get super difficult, and for me, who's being myself trying to 100% this game, it was difficult doing some of these. I'm not gonna say I 100%ed it. I almost 100%ed it, but I think this is gonna be like one of the only few games I've 100%ed. Like, I've done Astrobot, I've done Spider-Man. I've done Lego Marvel superheroes, so I think Kirby is going into that elite club of 100% of games. Also, the final boss of the game, that whole ending sequence, cinema. Just pure cinema. I was not prepared for what those last 2 hours of the game are. If you are somebody, I will tell you right now, if you are playing this game and you are somebody that has a life, set 2 hours aside for that ending, because you are not getting up from your chair for 2 hours. You need to lock in, bro. If you leave during those final fights, you're a coward. I'm so sorry to break it to you. You gotta call in late to your job. You gotta tell your kid to fuck off. Lock in, bro. So if you know me, you know I've always got a big hitter every month. I always got one standout every month, and this month it is Kingdom Hearts 1. No, I haven't played any new games that have came out. I haven't played Death Stranding. I haven't played The Altars. I haven't played Dune Awakening. I haven't played Mind's Eye. Oh my god, I almost threw up saying that. So yeah, I decided to go back to play games I actually wanted to play. So Kingdom Hearts has been on my list for a while. I played Kingdom Hearts as a kid, but I'm not gonna say playing a game as a kid counts as actually playing it, because I don't have the adult brain to process the story, and I don't even remember shit that happened in that game. All I remember was that I hated Riku, that Riku was pretty bitch made, and after playing through this game, I could say Riku is not bitch made. Playing through Chain of Memories though, Riku is bitch made. But we'll get to Chain of Memories next month. The Chain of Memories is gonna be a July thing, alright? I want you guys to know, set your expectations that from now on I am going to be reviewing all the Kingdom Hearts game, hopefully each month. So I just finished Kingdom Hearts 1. After this I'm going through Chain of Memories. Then I'm going through the GOAT Kingdom Hearts 2. Then going through 358 by 2 days. Then going through Recoded. And I don't even know what else, but whatever gets me to Kingdom Hearts 3, I'll be going through all those games until Kingdom Hearts 3, because I'm gonna be prepared for Kingdom Hearts 4. Okay, when Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out, everybody could say I was a real fan. Okay, maybe I haven't been there since I was like 11 years old, but I played these games back then. I'm a real fan now. Okay, I'm doing more than most real fans do. So since we're starting off with Kingdom Hearts 1. How do I feel about it, right? You know, it was the first game in the series, so how do I feel about it? I'll throw a photo up right here of how I felt about this game. Now, let me start by saying, I was absolutely insane going into this game. I probably should have done some amount of research, but motherfucker like me, I started the game on proud mode. And not only did I start the game on proud mode, but I also started the game off picking the sword instead of shield or magic. And if you know anything about Kingdom Hearts, you know that I basically chose to shoot. You know that I basically chose to shoot myself in both of my feet, cut my hands off, and just go crazy like that, because I don't think anybody would recommend playing the game that way. Which I will tell you right now, if you are playing Kingdom Hearts for the first time, do not pick proud. At least don't do that, bro. This was by far super agonizing to get through towards the end. I love this game though. I loved it, but oh my god, the difficulty ramps up completely towards the end, and you don't really have anything to help you out with it. I want to start off with the fact that arrows was basically a necessity. If you're not using arrows, you are not winning. You are getting one tap by everything. The second that arrows runs out and something hits you, boom, you're dead. That's it. So that's my biggest gripe with this already, with proud mode. You know, standard mode, people, you're not really gonna know anything about that, because I don't know how arrows works in standard mode. I don't know if it makes you almost invincible or whatever. But in proud mode, bro, it was fucking brutal, man. It was insanity. The final boss was, oh my god. Not even just the final boss. The room before the final boss, like, slight spoiler, I don't know if this is a spoiler or whatever, but there's a room, you know what, it's not a spoiler, there's a room before the final boss that you basically get a whole enemy rush. You get to fight like all of the toughest enemies, like not actual bosses, but just standard enemies that you fought throughout the game. That was the most brutal fight I've ever done in a video game. That was worse than the ape fight in Sekiro, because that shit, there's no learning that. That room is just random RNG thrown at you. If sometimes the enemies just spawn in and one tap you. Other times they just spawn in and they one tap you again. It was horrifying. I was stuck on that for like 3 days, man. It was so bad. Like, this game made me look back at Souls games and be like, damn, the Souls games really weren't that bad. Like, I really think Miyazaki played Kingdom Hearts 1 on proud difficulty, looked at that and said, what if I make it a bit more accessible? Dark Souls is legit Kingdom Hearts if it was accessible, because at least your roll has iframes. You want to know something about this game? You don't have rolls with iframes, bro. You're getting fucked no matter what. So going past the difficulty of this game and the self-imposed difficulties I gave myself, what about the meat and potatoes? You know, what do people really come to Kingdom Hearts for? You know, as the story. The story, it's good. It's good, all right. It's a good story. It's very loaded. Let me tell you what. I don't know if how many of you guys actually know the story of Kingdom Hearts or anything like that, but Sora and Kairi and Riku, they're all childhood friends. They lived on an island and they wanted to explore the world, see what's out there, see what other worlds have. And one day, out of nowhere, boom, they all get transported to different worlds. Riku gets abducted by some weird henchmen. Sora ends up in a town, and who knows where Kairi went, because we do not know until later on in the game. When I think about Kingdom Hearts, I always think about the different things that people come to this game for, and I think it shows the pedigree of the developers behind this and the sheer variety that this game actually has, because the game introduced so many things way back then. This game was made on the PS2, man, and it had so much that different games didn't have, like having all these different worlds, different biomes that have a lot of different enemies, having an actual full story with cutscenes and everything that actually makes you feel something. Gummy ships, I guess, if you're one of those people that likes gummy ships. Different weapons, different abilities with magic and all that. It introduced a lot to this genre, and in a 3D space as well, because games back then weren't doing it like Kingdom Hearts was. Games back then weren't doing all of this in the 3D space. The core of this game, though, is really centered around friendship. It's all centered, I know it sounds corny, but it's all centered around Sora's relationship with Kairi and Riku, and his relationship that he gains with Goofy and Donald as well, as both of their goals sort of coincide with each other, where Sora is trying to find his friends and Donald and Goofy are trying to find the king, and they both just team up together to be able to complete both of their goals together. Like, looking at this story, it feels corny. It feels like like a story that's been told a lot of times, with friendship and light and darkness and all of that. You know, on a surface level, it feels super whatever, but actually playing through it and experiencing it for yourself, there were a lot of times where this game actually hit me. There were a lot of times where this game made me feel really introspective for the things going on in my life and just what I want to do more with it, because Sora is a character that you see go through a lot of different turmoils. Sora isn't a perfect character. He's not just a happy-go-lucky character. You could see the emotions that he has when he's trying to find his friends. You could see what he's willing to do for his friends, and there's just so many layers that go into him and who he is as a character. He's not just a standard, oh, I'm happy, I'll find them whenever. Like, he tries to keep a good faith and tries to keep on going with his head held up high, because he feels hopeful for what he can do, and he doesn't want to lose that light inside of him, no matter how much everything else around him wants to put him down. Like, even going through these Disney worlds actually meshes well a lot with him, because you get these messages from the different Disney stories that meshes with Sora's story and brings him closer to his goal of finding his friends. It's so well done. It's such a weird mixture that actually worked well, because originally I'm not that much of a Disney guy when it comes to these certain products, but when they did it in this game, the Disney aspect of it didn't feel like overbearing. It didn't feel like, oh, like this is so shoehorned in. It felt very well done. Like, whenever I think about this game, I always think that the creator had one of the craziest concepts for a JRPG. You know, you get these three friends who have grown up with each other that get transported to different worlds that are trying to make their way back to each other, fighting through these different sections of light and darkness and whatever. And then the creator of this must have pitched it to Square Enix, and they were like, brother, you are cooking. We need you to find a way to put Disney into this. We've just signed a contract with Disney. We need to put them in this. And that has to be how Kingdom Hearts came to be, because I refuse to believe that Disney was like the original plan for all of this. Now, going deeper into the worlds though, I will say I had some pretty good standouts and some fucking duds. Specifically, two duds. Number one, like, this one wasn't as egregious as the other, but the Tarzan world. The Tarzan world is just a maze full of backtracking where you're going to one section and you have to backtrack to the other to then go back to that section that you were just at, and then backtrack to the previous section to get to the next section, and then you have to go through every single section just to go back to the previous section to then go to the next section to go back to the previous section. It was horrifying to do all of that, and the game doesn't really guide you through it as well. You're just expected to figure out that you're supposed to go to a specific section, and you're just going around like, where the fuck am I going? There was one part where you go back to the tent and you just see a cutscene with Heartless, so you assume that the Heartless are gonna be in this one place, and you go back to that one place and you're like, wait, like, I just killed them all and there's no cutscene. And then you go back and then you realize that the Heartless are at the tent, and you're like, okay, I gotta kill them here too. And then you go back to the tent, nothing's happened, and then you realize that you just gotta go through every other section in the game as well, or not in the game, every other section in the world as well, to actually kill all the Heartless around the world, and then finally go back to the tent, and then it'll finally play the cutscene. It was so oh my god, I hated it. But the most egregious world to me was the Little Mermaid world, Atlantica. At first I was like, oh my god, this is so cute. Like, you get to be with Little Mermaid and you get to swim around the water, and like, you get to swim everywhere and all that. At first I was like, oh my god, like it's so nice. It was such a fucking gimmick, because after a few fights you're like, okay, like, we can wrap this up. Like, let's get out of here. We don't need to be doing this, because every single technique that you've gained to that point, every single fighting style and all that is lost there. You get a 3-hit combo and that's it. You also can't even dodge. So when you're in a boss fight, specifically the last boss fight that has a lightning that tracks you throughout the whole fight, you're just expected to eat the lightning and just keep hitting the final boss while you're getting hit by lightning, and you're basically getting one tap the whole time. So it was, oh my god, I hated that world. It took forever as well, because you can't really swim fast either, so you're just going through, and the boss fights, like, it's just, the combat was horrible, and I hated how it was done, because in the previous world, which I did, was Monstro. In Monstro, you get the high jump, which I think the high jump really started to open the game up and felt like you were really starting to get a grasp for everything. And then right after Monstro, you go to the Little Mermaid world. That's like, oh yeah, cool, dude. Everything that you've learned, throw that out the window. We're swimming for the next hour, 2 hours, whatever it was. Yeah, those two worlds, horrifying. Rant aside though, I loved all the other worlds. Traverse Town being the iconic home base that Sora gets transported to, and you always are able to go back to get your upgrades and items. It always actually felt grounding and like an actual home. I always loved going through Traverse Town. It was always so nice to go through. You also have Hollow Bastion, which Hollow Bastion is wow, that world was difficult. Halloween Town, need I say more? It's Halloween Town. Like, that one had to be sad because it was a bit short, but I still loved all of it. And my personal favorite was Neverland. I think that Neverland was really where this game fully connected for me, because in Neverland you get the world of Peter Pan, where you're basically in this ship that Captain Hook kidnaps a girl. I don't remember the girl's name, but Captain Hook kidnaps a girl, and you're there to save her. And I feel like in that world, you had such a natural progression for everything. The story progressed well. Peter Pan, somehow you get all of his character within that short amount of time that you're in that world. And even though you're on a boat, the boat still feels pretty good to explore and go through the different rooms, and you get a good mixture of everything. You get some good combat, and at this point you're pretty elevated with your combat. You get to fight a shadow version of yourself, which really puts your combat to the test. And then at the end, you get a flying battle against Captain Hook, which I think that introducing that flight mechanic was what made me feel that progression. And at the end, you get the clock tower scene where you fly around and you seal the hole, the keyhole in the clock tower. And that was when it really hit me, man. Like, that's when I actually started to feel like, holy shit, like the Disney elements with the friendship and all that actually click with each other. It really doesn't feel like it's just something there. It actually feels like the story clicked with me. And I'm a fucking 24-year-old man. I was clicking with something that I feel like this was probably made for kids, but damn, like it was hitting me deep. Like I said earlier, I feel like everybody comes to Kingdom Hearts for different things, and I think Kingdom Hearts showed the perfect storm of everything that people come to these games for. Some people come to these games for the dynamics between the characters, the relationship between Riku and Sora and Donald and Goofy and Kairi. Other people come to these games for the Disney aspect, for the worlds. Some people even come for the combat, which I think is pretty crazy, at least for one. One's combat is alright. It's nothing crazy. I know about two's combat, but one's combat is alright. But I feel like this game had the perfect storm of everything going for it to make it that perfect dish, that ratatouille, if you will, of what people come to Kingdom Hearts games for. And I am so excited to play the rest, even though I'm going through Chain of Memories right now and it's not been the best. But anyways, that's it for games. That's the meat and potatoes of my month. So I wanted to talk about now the second sporting event, quote unquote, that I consumed this month that I really loved, and it was the Valorant tournament that happened. I know a lot of you might have thrown up there, but this year, or I guess this month, the Valorant tournament took place in Toronto, Canada, and it had one of the craziest storylines that I've ever seen for this esport. I am obsessed with Valorant esports. I don't even play the game no more. I'm just obsessed with the esports aspect of it. I love watching these teams, and one team that I've kept up with throughout the years is Paper Rex. Paper Rex has been a fun ass team to watch. They've been like my #1 team to follow. Their whole thing is playing the game in the most unconventional way possible and trying to give you a heart attack throughout their whole time playing. So going into this event, Paper Rex originally weren't going to qualify for this event. They weren't even going to qualify for their region's playoffs. Paper Rex are coming from the Pacific region. Originally, they were down 0-3, and if they lost one more game, they were out. That was it. They were done, and they weren't going to be able to make it until the following stage. So right at the end, they decided to lock in, win their 2 matches to make it to their region's playoffs. They started in a loser's bracket of their region's playoffs, and they had to go against the 3 best teams in their region. They had to go against a team that just won the previous Masters event. They had to go against a team that was just undefeated, and then they had to go against a team that is their biggest rival, who has always been like neck and neck with them. And they were able to beat all 3 teams to qualify for this event as the lowest seed going into this event. And then they actually went on a run. They went and they shot through the whole tournament and was able to win the full tournament. This team has been falling short every single time they've gone to a tournament. They've never won an international. They've been at 2 different finals for internationals. At both of them, they sadly got washed. And everybody thought this was the last chance for this team, because they are one of the only teams that kept the same roster throughout the years. They kept the same coach, the same 5 players. Well, I would say the same 4 players, and they introduced 1 new player, and they were able to somehow make it through. This was like, everybody was thinking if they didn't go through this event, their team was done. And it was so beautiful to finally see them win an international trophy, and seeing the players cry. I started tearing up with them. It was a beautiful, beautiful event. I usually don't recommend watching Valorant to anybody, and I probably still wouldn't, but if you watch this event, you know exactly like the emotional highs that I'm talking about here. Anyways, since I've been going on and yapping for about an hour, I want to just send this home with the albums that I've loved this month. So starting us off, we got McKinley Dixon's Magic Alive. Crazy good jazz rap album. I was blown away by how amazing the production is. David's Withered. This guy reminds me of Kevin Abstract back in the day in his prime. Like the emotion that it gives me, not like he's ripping off of him or anything like that, but the emotion in this album and how catchy it is. Damn, man, like he is on a tear right now. Little Sims Lotus, this is stacked with a lot of things going on in Little Sims in personal life, with family, with relationships, with her place of living. It's an amazing listen to go through. So yeah, besides all that, if I have a Marvel Snap deck of the month, I'll throw it somewhere over here around me, and everything that I'm going through still, like all the stuff that I'm still consuming that I haven't finished yet, here's a list of everything. I'm starting to have a lot of piling up and a lot of catching up that I have to do. And to my friends that I told them that I would have the One Piece section in this video, that is next video. I am still struggling to work through Fishman Island. It's been a fucking journey. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this version of the monthly love list. I'll be back next month for something pretty good and worked on, hopefully, and I will catch you guys on the flip-flop.